Colpipes Conspiracies! Have you ever wondered why Nintendo controllers have B and A the wrong way round? Surely it should be AB, alphabetically, right? There are lots of theories surrounding this. Is it that B and A actually mean back and accept, with A being on the right to represent moving forward and B on the left to represent moving backwards? Or is it based on driving games, with B meaning brake and A standing for accelerate, with the layout representative of that of a car's foot pedals? Well, I wanted to find out the truth. The truth takes me on a journey down a rabbit hole that I'm still not sure I've got to the bottom of. What I have discovered is astonishing, and this is that story. Our story starts at Nintendo in the late 1970s, when the Nintendo Famicom was but a twinkle in the eye of the then president of Nintendo, Hiroshi Yamauchi. Yamauchi was an avid fan of the hula hoop and visited events around the world. In 1978, he was asked to be the special guest judge at that year's American Hula Hoop National Championships. That event would lead to a chance meeting, which would shape the way we game for decades to come. When he met the winner of the championships, Lawrence Turode, Uchi was so impressed with the young hula hoop master that the pair talked for hours, forging a friendship by finding out that they shared the same passions, such as traffic cone collecting and mailbox photography. Oh, and if you don't know who Lawrence Turode is, well, he went on to change his name and become an 80s superstar, known as Mr. T.
Don't hate me, boy, but I pity the fool.
Weird, right? Over the coming years, the two stayed in constant contact, driven by their dedication to their shared hobbies. And then in 1982, at the Tokyo Traffic Cone Convention, Lawrence told Yamauchi about his new role in the A-Team, and Yamauchi discussed his new product that would be called the Famicom. The two, so excited by each other's projects, decided to swap them. Yamauchi received a tape of the A-Team pilot, and Mr. T got a prototype Famicom. Yamauchi went home that evening and watched his friend's video. He was blown away with it, watching it multiple times throughout that night, jumping up at every action scene. To say he was a fan is an understatement. That morning he rushed into the Nintendo offices where he called an all-employee meeting and showed them the first episode of the A-Team. The response was nothing but staggering. The crowd cheered and left the screening buzzing. You had marketing managers and directors jumping behind tables and chairs like children, mimicking what they had just witnessed. And who were they imitating? But the character played by Mr. T himself, B.A. Baracus.
What you doing, sucker?
I think I'll get out for a minute.
What's going on here?
That afternoon, and still fired up, Yamauchi phoned Mr. T at his hotel and invited him to Nintendo HQ the next day for a guest of honour tour. Mr. T gladly accepted. A Upon arrival at Nintendo, Mr. T was greeted to a standing ovation by all the staff. He was shown the inner workings of Nintendo, including their R&D department. There he got his hands on the Nintendo Famicom and absolutely loved it. While playing an early version of 10-Yard Fight, Mr. T made an off-the-cuff comment: "This controller is great, but why A and B buttons? It should be BA, as in BA Baracas." Yamauchi, taken back by this comment, immediately reprimanded his designers in a typical Japanese fashion. Feeling he had dishonoured his now hero, he demanded that the buttons be reversed, which actually delayed the release date by a number of weeks. And that is how Nintendo pads came to have a B and A button configuration, because of the Mr. T character B.A. Baracas. Oh, you think the Mr. T and Nintendo connection finishes there? Oh, there is more. There is so much more.
In 1972, a crack commando unit was sent to prison by a military court for a crime they didn't commit. These men promptly escaped from a maximum security stockade to the Los Angeles underground. Today, still wanted by the government, they survive as soldiers of fortune. If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the A-Team.
The following year, in January 1983, the A-Team was released and quickly became one of the most popular shows on TV. Yamauchi contacted Mr. T to congratulate him and invite his friend to be guest of honour at the launch of the Famicom later that summer. Mr. T jumped at the chance, as unbeknown to Yamauchi, he had become secretly addicted to the computer games thanks to the prototype Famicom he had been given, and had some fantastic ideas, at least he thought, for games himself. So in July of that year, Mr. T travelled to Nintendo HQ, where once again he was greeted like a king. After a few hours, when sat with Yamauchi, Mr. T mentioned his idea for a game. This idea involved a black Italian electrician named Mourinho, who had to save a princess in an animal kingdom. Mr. T even produced some concept art. Yamauchi loved the idea and introduced him to a young programmer called Shigeru Miyamoto. Miyamoto, who was in awe of Mr. T, was intrigued with the idea but felt it was too complicated, and the two sat down and planned another game. Over the coming months, Mr. T made numerous visits to work with Miyamoto, and at the start of 1985, the game was finished. This game was Jibber Jabber, a side-scrolling shooter starring Mr. T himself, scheduled for a summer release. And then it all started to go wrong. That summer, Super Mario Bros. Was released, and the similarity to his idea infuriated Mr. T. Immediately he called Yamauchi, yelling that he had stolen his idea and that their friendship was over. Mr. T ended the call by calling his once best friend a sucker.
What you doing, sucker?
A disrespect that the Nintendo president never forgave. The pair never spoke again. This quest started with me wanting to find out why Nintendo chose the button configuration they did. Not only did I find the answer, but I found out more. So much more. How the friendship between two very different men defined gaming history and the way we play games forever. While the pair never spoke again, Mr. T's influence with Nintendo can still be seen even today.